All right, it is approximately 7 p.m. and I'd like to get started. I'd like to, on behalf of the South Fulton Coalition, we would like to welcome our City of South Fulton mayoral candidate, Councilman Khalid Kamal. Now, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the South Fulton Coalition. Our mission, the mission of the South Fulton Coalition is to implement action programs for the continued improvement, accountability, and integrity of the city of South Fulton government and its elected officials. We focus on the areas to educate, disseminate information, and engage the city of South Fulton residents, to advocate on behalf of City of South Fulton residents, interact with our leadership, and to ensure community-driven input into decision-making, and to provide financial support to causes that promote our mission and benefit our community. Now, at this time, I would like to turn it over to Ron Booth for the opening prayer.
Thank you, Richard. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another opportunity to come before your presence. We thank you for the ability to come together virtually for this town hall meeting. And Lord, we pray that you'll bless us with a great dialogue and positive attitudes all around. Lord, please keep us free of any satanic or demonic attack. And please bless all in attendance today, especially our candidate. And we ask that you also bless the city of South Fulton. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you. All right, now at this time, I would like to just remind everybody that you can ask after the candidate makes his opening remarks. He will have 10 minutes to make those opening.
Take showdown. Congress averting that government shutdown. And now the question, of course, will the House vote tonight on the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill already passed by the Senate? Money for roads, bridges, broadband, and to create jobs.
Can everyone please mute except for the person speaking? Richard, please take yourself off mute.
All right, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right. All right, now I would like to pass it over to our candidate, Khalid Kamal, for his opening remarks. Mr. Kamal, you have 10 minutes for your opening remarks. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
If my left side shut down, it's COVID.
She down from COVID.
If my right side shut down, I can.
Now I am unmuted. My name is Khalid. I am a candidate for mayor. I was born and raised here in the city of South Fulton. I am the only person that was born and raised running for mayor that was born and raised in the city of South Fulton. First, I just want to provide a few points of clarity. After seeing the candidate forums that South Fulton Coalition did for city council races, I think that there was some confusion that all of the candidates would be here tonight. But I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Snellings, that South Fulton Coalition will be interviewing each mayoral candidate separately.
That is correct.
Okay. So again, my name is Khalid. I'm going to go through a few slides. I am a Generation X candidate. I know some people think that I'm a millennial. I will actually be turning 45 next week. So I am that in-between generation that, knows how to use technology, but also believes that we should be sending out paper newsletters. I grew up using the card catalog and the Dewey Decimal System, but I am still young enough to work Zoom and TikTok and IG and all of those things. So you can find information about my campaign if you have a smartphone and you click that, you take a picture of that QR code, all the information for my website, donations, as well as all of my social media will come up. And with that, if I can share my screen, I would like to talk a little bit about the city of South Fulton.
I'm sorry, Councilman, can you read?
If you make me a co-host, I can share my screen, and that way I can share a little bit of information about the city of South Fulton. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, so we are here. Everyone can see that. As always, you can text the word Fulton to 33777 to sign up for mobile alerts, as well as my newsletter. You can get alerts about not only the campaign, but all these events that are happening in the city of South Fulton. So I always think that it's good to start off with a map. I did this when I was knocking doors in 2017. Instead of talking about myself, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew about the city. I don't think all of us know enough about the city. So we are the same size as Atlanta. Atlanta is about 109, 108 square miles. City of South Fulton is about 90 square miles. As you can see from this map, we have some very jagged boundaries. That comes from, and I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later, we had the option to become a city in 2006. When we voted no, places like Union City, College Park, and Atlanta began annexing our land. It's one of the things that prompted the cityhood movement to restart and form to push again for the city, which we finally got in 2017. But by that time, College Park, Atlanta, and especially Union City had annexed many of our most valuable parcels of land, our commercial properties. That is the big sort of gash you see between districts 3 and 4. That street running through the middle is South Fulton Parkway. So many of the warehouses and things that you see that you don't like are not actually in the city of South Fulton. But when we did not take advantage of becoming a city, a lot of those parcels were annexed. I and several other members of council believe that some of those parcels were annexed illegally, and we have been pushing behind the scenes to get our land back. Our current mayor and the mayor of Union City are friends. Our current mayor approved the zoning for all of the warehouses you see, even the ones that are not in the city of South Fulton. He approved and actually motioned for many of them as county commissioner. So it's been really hard to bring this issue to the public and get it on the agenda. Our mayor and mayor alone makes our agenda. You can find this map and more information about the city of South Fulton at khalidcares.com/101. The city of South Fulton is the blackest city in America. Of all cities over 100,000 people, we have a 92% African American population. It was 90% in 2016 when we formed. It was 92% in 2019. So we are actually getting blacker. Meanwhile, Atlanta is getting less black. You can see from this highlighted portion, in 2019, Atlanta is right on the bubble, and new census data suggests that Atlanta is no longer a majority minority city. This is important because many of the problems that we face, from undervalued homes to underperforming schools to a lack of investment in economic development, are related to us being a majority black city. Richard Rothstein, in this really great book, The Color of Law, and there's another one that just came out about Augusta, talks about how a lot of the redlining, many of us know about redlining from banks, but the first red line maps were actually created by the Federal Housing Administration. The same FHA that underwrites home loans created the first red line maps. And this is a great mapping inequality. You can find this on my website as well. This is one of the original red line maps. So many of the places that were redlined in the 1940s by the Federal Housing Administration are still suffering the effects of that redlining today. It is the reason that a home built in South Fulton by the same builder is worth less than half the value of the exact same home built by the exact same builder in Sandy Springs or Alpharetta. And it's also the reason that we know today that white families have 10 times the net worth of black families on average, because most of our worth is stored in our homes. There is some good information in our census data as well. As you can see here, We have a 67% owner occupancy rate. We have one of the highest rates of home ownership in the nation. As you can see, Atlanta's is only 43%. But if you look, I'm going to go back if I can. If you look at the bottom of this screen here, you can see that we have a much lower education rate than the city of Atlanta. So how is it that we have so much more home ownership, but we have a lower rate of people with bachelor's degrees? If you look up here under housing, that third statistic there, you can see that our houses are much more affordable. So because we have more affordable housing, we have lots of working class and middle class people that can afford to buy homes here in South Fulton, where they are being priced out of places like Atlanta. So it's important that we keep South Fulton affordable. I also think that this highlights the importance of investing in education. I want, as mayor, to invest in training our youth in programs that are not necessarily about college. Everyone's not going to go to college. I went to college and law school. I have $60,000 in debt, and I currently make $27,000 a year as a councilman. My friends that did not go to college at all, but instead went to trade school and are working as plumbers, are now making $80,000 a year, or $80,000 a year as an electrician without any debt. And it's one of the reasons they can afford to buy our homes here in South Fulton. So I'm going to stop here because my time is almost up. I have tons of more slides that I'll share as we're answering questions. But my goal as mayor is to refocus our agenda so that we are focusing on these issues like taking control of our land, building better, raising the standards for developers. And if we cannot find developers to build things the way that we want to build them, we have a $127 million budget. We can buy the land and start developing things ourselves. I want to invest more in local entrepreneurs as well as career paths for our youth. We can do that through our parks programs. We know that our Fulton County school system is failing many of our kids, but we can supplement the education that they're receiving in school and after school programs through our parks. And lastly, I want to improve our image. We need to rebrand, rename, and market our city. We did at one point vote for a new name. It wasn't popular for everyone. I'll let you in on a secret. Everyone is not going to love any name that we pick. However, the mayor vetoed the name. And so now every time the news reports on anything negative happening in South Fulton County, it gets attributed to the city of South Fulton. And so I want to build better, invest more, and improve our image. And with that, I am excited to take your questions.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I just wanted to remind everybody that please use the reactions option in Zoom and raise your hand if you have questions. Once I see those hands raised, I will go ahead and acknowledge you. So I'd like to open the floor up to our first question from Shadrach Bowens Pitcham. You now have the floor.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I'm on my cell phone. One night I was driving down Old National near Creel Road. I live in the Heritage Park community, and it was like pitch dark. And there was a young man on a wheelchair in the middle of the road because we don't have any sidewalks in that area. And it was extreme. I mean, it was so sad. I'm only 39 years old. I'm a male. You know, it almost brought me to tears to see him riding in the middle of the road because there are no sidewalks. Are there any plans to improve that area in terms of making the area more walkable?
Yes. So happy to talk about that. This perfect. So currently, we are spending more than 30% of our budget on police and less than 1% on economic development. I continually say we cannot police our way to prosperity. You should know that we used to, when we were transferring from the county to the city, we were owed millions of dollars in money to finish our sidewalks. The mayor has not fought for that money. Instead, he has been fighting about Wolf Creek. He and other council members are fighting to bring over Wolf Creek. Amphitheaters are nice, but almost no municipal amphitheater in the country makes money. Wolf Creek has never made money. So we are building police buildings, building amphitheaters, not building things that make money. We have these school zone cameras. Many of you have probably gotten tickets. In the first 9 months for these school zone cameras, we generated nearly $4 million. And the first thing that we bought with that money was a police tank. People will argue about whether or not this is a tank. Looks like a tank to me. So we have a $360,000 tank, but we don't have one street sweeper in the city. So what I did is I created a pedestrian safety fund. You see these sidewalks here. What I've done is created a pedestrian safety fund to take 1/4 of that money. I wanted to take all of the money, but I couldn't get 4 votes to take all of the speed camera money. So we are going to use 25% of the budget, which is over $1 million, to install crosswalks and speed bumps in neighborhoods throughout the city of South Fulton. Additionally, I have been pushing in many
30 seconds remaining.
I've been pushing, thank you, in many council meetings to follow up on where is this sidewalk money. Anyone who's watched has seen me fighting about this. As mayor, that is going to be on the top of the agenda to get to complete our IGA with Fulton County, to get our sidewalks and to take care of our detention ponds. These are 2 issues people have been talking about that we haven't been able to solve.
Thank you, Councilman.
All right, thank you. Now I'd like to acknowledge user Vida. You now have the floor.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, Mr. Kamal, with respect to private schools in South Fulton. I think part of the problem that we're having with our public schools is that they're not giving our kids the education necessarily to compete when they leave for whatever reasons, and I think they're various. But I wanted to ask you, is there a push or is there something that is on the way for where we can recruit private schools to come to South Fulton? Thank you.
No problem. So we have a couple of private schools already in our city. As a city, we can make a better job of promoting those. But what I'm actually more interested in, quite frankly, is using park programs.
If you can unmute yourself, Mr. Kamal. We have to mute everyone.
Someone is muting me. I've just been talking. So let me start over. So we have a couple of private schools already in our city. I think maybe we could do a better job of promoting those. What I am more interested in is using our budget to fund after-school programs through our parks programs. When I was voted into office, Creel Park had not had any staff for nearly 10 years. 2 bodies had been found in the park. So I actually moved my office into Creel Park so that I could open and close the gates, staff the building, get a computer lab refurbished, and get internet service in those parks. So we have those things now. We have 2 programs that I'm really proud of that we've had in Creel Park. One is Transforming Youth, where we actually teach children 8 to 12 to start their own businesses. They started a t-shirt business, so they learned marketing, they learned accounting, how to keep track of everything, and logistics, how to order the t-shirts and print and get them mailed out. The second program is called Future Seekers. So they teach, it is a STEM-based program, so they supplement the program, and that's for kids of all ages, all grade levels through 12th grade. They supplement the science, technology, engineering, and math that they are learning in their current school environments, and they have programs like robotics and coding. So what I would like to do is see a push to have those in every park citywide, so that we could help actually raise the scores, not just for people who can afford private school for their kids, but for all of our youth.
All right, thank you for that. Now our next question comes from someone has their hand raised and they're just under Zoom user. So if that's you, if you can unmute yourself and just announce your name.
that may be myself. That may be me. My name is Candia Perry, and my question is, Councilman Khalid, we met back on April 16th while I was volunteering at a Councilman Dr. Mark Baker event, and I introduced myself to you as a homeowner or resident at Camelot Club, and asked, as mayor, what would your plans be for Camelot? We know Camelot right now is kind of a nuisance in the community, and we as homeowners are fighting to. You felt the best resolution is to bulldoze it over, without really giving any consideration to the residents there or here. So, what would be your plans to help the 70 plus displaced senior citizens at Camelot if it was allowed to be demolished?
One of the things that I worked on, hold on one second. I'm going to go back here. I just love sharing this information. One of the things that I worked on as a council person was bringing a $50 million project to Old National Highway. I had moved to create a DDA for Old National. That is a downtown development authority. It's different than the citywide development authority. And the goal was not to make Old National the downtown of South Fulton, right? A city as large as South Fulton, as large as Atlanta, will have multiple downtowns. Atlanta has a downtown, it has a midtown, it has a Buckhead, it has a West Midtown, it has an East Atlanta, right? So there are multiple economic development centers, but downtown development legislation is a legislative tool created by the General Assembly to revitalize blighted commercial areas. I think everyone in South Fulton can agree there is no more blighted commercial area than the city of than Old National Highway, which isn't just my district, District 6, but actually encompasses 3 council districts. We have 3 council people representing Old National because it is the most densely populated area in the city with the highest density of both transit, people, and businesses. So I created this Downtown Development Authority. We brought a $50 million deal to the table. This is it, the Renaissance at Old National. These were some mock-ups that we had of the designer. This is an actual building that they had built elsewhere in the country. And
30 seconds remaining.
The first part of the building, the first phase of the building was 80 units of senior housing. So I think that would be the perfect place to house people who are displaced by any demolition that we do at Camelot. Unfortunately, it was undermined by the mayor and his allies on council, but as mayor, I will be bringing that back, and the developer is still ready to go forward with that project.
Thank you very much. Now we have a user, it just says iPhone, so if that's you, if you can unmute yourself and announce your name, and you can ask your question. Thank you.
My name is Jemias Render. I actually was a part of the foot soldiers in 2017 that was trying to make sure people was aware that the city was getting ready to be voted on. My question to Khalid is, I know you support entrepreneurs. Is there any way that we could potentially get legislation to require a certain percentage of shelf space in our retail commercial areas for Black-owned businesses? Since the city is predominantly Black, we should be able to be represented in any retail that's inside our city limits. There should be products that are made by us and for us that we can go in and purchase at will like we do now.
Thank you. Would love to talk about that. I actually absolutely do think that there is legislation for that. So one of the things that I've been talking about is creating this Grown in South Fulton label. 17% of the city of South Fulton is zoned agricultural. That is a large percentage of land for an urban area. We actually have 9 working farms here in the city of South Fulton. Some of them are Black-owned farms. when we created our alcohol ordinance, I ensured that we altered our alcohol ordinance to allow people who grow wine or have vineyards to sell their alcohol on site so that we could create a wine tourist industry here in the city of South Fulton. If we subsidize the 9 farms that we have, we would be able to grow enough produce with grown in South Fulton labels to supply at least 2 grocery stores in our city. This is a proclamation that we actually just gave yesterday to Miss Kendall Ray Johnson. She's 6 years old. She's the youngest certified farmer in the state of Georgia. And so this is legislation that I am actually proposing. We're also doing a disparity study. I don't think that right now we're talking about a local preference. I think that we also need a minority preference, as we know that minorities have been locked out of both access to capital and as well as just being able to have support from city contracts. The majority of we are 92% African American, but I can guarantee you that 92% of the contracting we do as a city does not go to African American owned businesses. So I do think that there's legislation that we can do. There is some research and some legal hurdles that we have to investigate and abide by in order to get that legislation passed and for it to be lawful. But it is definitely something that we can do but it's not just about passing legislation. It's about putting money behind the legislation to support local and minority-owned businesses not just to give them access.
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. Not just to give them access to our contracting, but access to capital that they have been locked out of because of the redlining and things that I've talked about in earlier slides.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass it to my colleague, Ron Booth.
Thank you, Rashard. Councilman Khalid, this next question comes from Mr. Curtis K. Redding. He says, I'm proud of the work you have done as a councilman, but I can also see how much pushback you receive from the mayor and other council people. As mayor, how will you get anything done if your current peers remain in office and fight you along the way?
So, honestly, I have no slide for this. Honestly, it will be very difficult. And the only people that can change that is you, the voters. We have half our council that is up for election this year. Districts 2, Districts 4, District 6, and the mayor. I submit to you that no one that is in a seat currently should remain in that same seat. We need a new District 2 person, a new District 4 person. You will have a new District 6 person, and we need a new mayor. That is the only way that we are really going to be able to do a reset and change the culture of the council. If that doesn't happen, there are still some things that I can do as mayor. As mayor, the mayor and the mayor alone makes every agenda for every council meeting that you have seen for the past 4 years. And the mayor alone facilitates and moderates every meeting that you have seen for the past 4 years. I know that I can do a better job at moderation. I will not have favorites on council. I will prioritize principles over people and issues over emotions. And so that is a commitment that I will make to you. One of the things that I will do as mayor is we have 12 months in the year. We have 12 council meetings. I would like to create a calendar so that from January through December, you will know what we are talking about, and we will focus on one issue at a time. Instead of having these 1,000-page agendas and these 8-hour council meetings, in February we'll focus on zoning. In March we'll focus on policing, and April we'll focus on economic development. Whatever that calendar is, I will make it with council. People will know months in advance, so you all can submit your ideas as well. And the level of interactivity that I think that I have.
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. The level of interactivity that I have shown in the way that I conduct my own meetings in town halls, I will also translate into our council meetings. So I will bring the public in. I will need you all to help hold us accountable. And that starts October 12th with early voting, when you help me bring in not only a new mayor, but a new council.
Thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge Simone Rolock. You have the floor. Thank you. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Councilman Khalid. I have a question. I'm part of a nonprofit commissioned by Love that's in the city of South Fulton, and it's a collective group of us, and we pour into a lot of people in the city, even in the community that we stay in right now, which is South Hills, which is Bethsaida and Old National. We minister to people, we feed the homeless, we have counseling sessions, we do small classes of agricultural, information for the youth. Do you guys have any money set apart for smaller nonprofits in the city? Or is there a way to partner with you all to make the nonprofit grow so it could benefit more people and we can reach out to more people and the youth? Because we really focus on the children and informing them how to grow their own food, how to, even in the space that they have, it could be an apartment. We want to make sure that people are more educated, and especially younger people. And I just wanted to know if you guys have any intention on doing that.
We don't have any money in our budget for that now. And now I'm going to have like a courageous conversation, right? As mayor, I'm always going to do this. I'm always going to tell you the truth. Our city is 3 times the size of Sandy Springs, right? We're 100 square miles. We have a $100 million budget. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually a third of the budget of Sandy Springs. So per resident, the city of Sandy Springs can spend more than 3 times as much on each resident. $100 million isn't a lot of money when you stretch it over 100 square miles. This is one of the reasons I am always asking on council, are the things that we are buying, do they create new revenue streams for the city? Going forward, we're really going to have to say, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And we need to reevaluate, or we need to evaluate all programs. So even if we are evaluating a nonprofit program like yours, we would have to say, is this program just giving out aid, or is it moving people from aid to self-sufficiency so that they can be contributing members to the society? The programs that I've talked about in terms of our after-school programs, in terms of these Grown in South Fulton labels and these things like that, these are creating entrepreneurs and creating new businesses that can expand our tax base. Our Downtown Development Authority is it's one of the reasons I've been opposed to all of these government buildings, these police stations and justice centers and all of these things, especially on Old National, because this is super valuable commercial property, and government buildings pay no taxes and generate no revenue. So we need to, other than, taxing people more, right? So we need to diversify our tax rolls. Right now, 85% of our land is zoned residential. And so the majority of the taxes that we have are coming from you all, the residents. We need to focus on creating programs that generate new revenue streams so
30
that
seconds remaining.
Thank you. So that later on, we will have more money for programs like yours.
Thank you for that question. I would like to pass it over to Ron. Ron, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. This next question comes from Yoshina Colbert Bradford. Councilman, if there is one candidate presently running with you now that you could choose to work with you if you take the mayor's seat, who would that be and why?
Honestly, I would like to work with all of the candidates that are running. I will tell you, I didn't want to be mayor. I didn't want to run for mayor. I was happy being a council person, and there were a lot of people in my district that wanted me to stay that way. If I could have had a better relationship with our mayor, I saw him as being a steady hand. He had all of this experience and this knowledge. I had all of these new ideas. It would have been so great if we could have worked together. If I am mayor and the mayor is out of office, I will still hope to be able to call on him for his advice. I don't think that everything that he's done is wrong. He's been over this area for 20 years now, so I think he does have a wealth of knowledge. I think Jewel Johnson also has been running for offices in South Fulton and Atlanta for 2 decades, so she has a wealth of knowledge as well. So I would hope to work with both of them, as well as Dr. Sonia Rowell. Dr. Sonia Roll. We have a Dr. Rowell on council and Dr. Roll that is running for mayor. She works with the South Fulton Human Services Coalition. So a lot of the programs that like Ms. Robinson was talking about that they have in South Hills, she is aware of those programs and works with those programs. So I actually really hope to be able to work with all of the candidates. All of them are much older than me. They have a lot of experience that I don't have, or they have a lot of knowledge that I don't have. So I hope that you don't have to be elected to serve. And so I hope that they would all continue to serve the city of South Fulton.
Thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge user C. Joyce. Please unmute yourself. You have the floor. Thank you.
Okay. Hi. I'd like clarity, please, on the question about the demolition of Camelot and your proposal to bring back the developer who will build a $50 million building. And you said that the residents of Camelot could be relocated there. Are you planning to demolish Camelot and have the $50 million investment built there?
No, that was not the site for that development. However, I do have to say, myself and Councilman Reeves have made several visits out to Camelot. One of the issues with Camelot is that it was originally a condominium, and so it has multiple owners. You have to deal with each of the owners individually, but I can tell you that in many of the units, right, there is flooding, there is mold, right? They are unsanitary conditions. I have pictures and video of black mold coming up the walls and units that are flooded. And so some of the buildings are beyond repair and really do need to be demolished. People are living in inhumane conditions. I do think that it is important that we try to find homes for as many of those people as possible, but we cannot allow people to live in inhumane conditions.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. I would like to pass it to Ron Booth. Thank you.
Okay, Councilman, this next question was sent in to the coalition. And that question is, why do you feel you are a better fit for South Fulton than the current mayor? And what would you do differently from the current mayor?
I think that I'm a better fit, number one, because I just have new ideas. I think that it is time for us to have new ideas and vision. South Fulton County has been led by the same people for over 20 years. We've had our mayor was a county commissioner for 15 years before he was a mayor for 4 years. Not just at the mayor level. We have many of the same state reps and same state senators have been representing this area. You cannot continue doing the same thing and expecting different results. I think that I have shown in my ability to attract development that I have new ideas and a new way of thinking about how to develop Old National. I have shown as a councilman a responsiveness that many people in elected office have not shown. Many people think that these are part-time jobs. I never thought it was a part-time job. I have never worked another full-time job since I have been a council person, and I won't do it as a mayor. Our mayor hasn't worked another full-time job, but I just think that I have the energy and the imagination to bring new ideas, not only to bring new ideas to South Fulton, but to execute them.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, what will you do to help reduce the hostility between members on the council? And what do you think is the cause of it in the first place?
I'm never going to lie to you. Our mayor plays favorites. I don't think that it is helpful. And we haven't done a good job at team building. In 2018, shortly before the pandemic, we went up to Canton. We regularly visit other cities to find out how they're doing government. And one of the mayor of Canton told us they have a 5-member council, told us that once a month, the mayor invited all of council to his house for dinner. And they would sit and talk, not about politics, but just get to know each other as council people. Our mayor made a commitment to do that. I have never been to the mayor's house for dinner. And the majority of other council people haven't either. Again, the first thing that can be done is what you all can do. And that is to help us reset this council by electing as many new council people as possible. And I will submit to you, I will be honest. Even if you say, Khalid, you've been part of the problem. We don't want to elect you either. Then elect one of the 2 candidates who have not been mayor. But please do not send anyone back to the same seat. The next thing that I would do is be transparent. I think that we've had a lack of transparency in this playing of favorites. There have been development deals discussed for my council district where developers have sat down with the mayor and I wasn't included. Other council members from other council districts were included in meetings about development in my district. So that sort of playing of favorites, that sort of lack of transparency, I think has led to a lot of the infighting that we've had on council. Anyone who gets my newsletters can see that I spend a lot of time being as transparent as possible in everything that is happening. And so I think that continued transparency, that continued commitment to transparency, that continued commitment to honesty and collaboration. There have been many times where we've had events in the city of South Fulton where I didn't hold the event in District 6, I held it in District 3 or in District 7 to invite the entire city and all of the council people to attend. And so that is the kind of ethos that I will continue as mayor.
Thank you, sir. And there's a quick follow-up question from Yoshina, and then I'll turn it back to you, Rashard. The question is, how much money do the warehouses generate?
So the warehouses are not in our city. They generate no money for us. They do generate millions in revenue. I don't know the exact figures because I'm not a council person in those cities, but I can tell you that it is clear that Union City made a decision, or at least the mayor of Union City made a decision that their economic development strategy was going to be the warehouse hub. It makes sense. We're near the airport. There's need for warehouses and logistics, although I hear that a lot of the warehouses are sitting empty. But the money that they've gotten from warehouses, they've used for signage and streetlights and sidewalks and parks. They are very clever about putting the warehouses at the edge of their city, in our city, and keeping them away from their downtown or their residential areas. And they've gotten a lot of money to improve the quality of life for their residents from those warehouses. So I don't have an exact figure, but they are very profitable for Union City.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sorry, and if you visit a Union City park, you can see where the money is going.
Thank you for that question. I would like to pass it over to the user for Herbert's iPhone. If you could just announce your name and unmute yourself and ask your question, you have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I live in the Woodside Hills subdivision, and we have a couple of problems. First, we have a couple of houses that are being purchased by companies that are now renting out the homes. And for the most part, the people that they're renting out to are very, they're very nice. But we are starting to have problems with them renting out to several people that are living in the homes that are riding through our communities, actually 50, 60 miles an hour racing up and down Wallace Road. And we've had this problem now for about a year. We've been calling the police. We now have a ring and we're working on getting it situated, but we're still having that problem. Our other problem is a mixed use community that they want to build in the back of our subdivision. We can't go to Camp Creek because it's so busy. You could hardly get in the Publix. We have a new Publix. And now they want to put a mixed use community down here right behind our subdivision. I'd like to know what you would do about the renting out of the homes that is causing some of the problems we're having. We have 2 handicapped kids that live in our subdivision. And how do you feel about another mixed use community right at Campbellton Road at that intersection where the new Publix is?
So first, let me say I am familiar with Wallace Road. As I said, I was born and raised in the city of South Fulton, and when my parents brought me home from Piedmont Hospital, our first home was on Skyview Drive off of Wallace Road. So I have fond memories of that area. We have to, if anyone watched the council meeting last night, this issue came up. There is a new cigar bar taking over Cigarros in off of Butner Road. And just before that, we had talked about our development authorities, and then just after that, we had talked about our comprehensive plan. All of these things affect one another, and we've got to start thinking interdisciplinarily about the decisions that we're making. We cannot just make a decision that favors a subdivision because those are the people that are in our faces right now. The Census Bureau estimates that in the next 3 to 5 years, over 1 million people will be moving to the Atlanta metro area. We've got to figure out where we are going to put them, and we need to figure out which areas we are going to build up for density and which areas we are going to keep less dense. I cannot tell you specifically what my idea or my thought is for your one subdivision or that one intersection until we look at a map comprehensively and think comprehensively about where we're going to put people.
Okay, Google.
One of the problems that we've had as a council is that everyone just fights for what's best for their district, and we've got to really think about.
Okay, Google, cancel.
I'm sorry, is that my time or is that someone else talking?
No, you have 30 seconds remaining.
So that's really my answer about what's best for that subdivision. But I do think that the pedestrian safety fund that we created could be used to put speed bumps and speed tables down Wallace Road, which is a street that we control. And I do want to give a shout out to Councilwoman Helen Willis. She and I have both been talking about this issue with HOAs and transparency, and there are some ordinances we have coming up trying to curb the renting out of what are supposed to be single-family residences.
Thank you for that, Cliff. Thank you for that response. Now, we have 10 minutes left, and we have quite a few questions. Do you have a hard stop at 8 o'clock, or can you continue on?
I can continue.
All right, thank you for that. Now, I would like to acknowledge the person as Zoom user. Please unmute your microphone and announce yourself, and you may ask your question. Thank you.
All right, Councilman Khalid, again, this is Candia Perry. And as you know, I believe, in fact, I know another homeowner here asked the question. We're part of a small, no, not a small committee, but a committee called the Camelot Concerned Residents. And we are fighting for for our community. If you are elected as mayor, we do have another elected official that is working on seeing what grant monies are available to our community. If they're able to get that done to save our property, would you stand behind that elected official and allow those grant monies to be put into our community to save? Because again, it's not just the 70 seniors. We have over 300 families here as well.
This is the difference between me and any other elected official. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to say what sounds good. I'm never going to lie to you. Some of those buildings at Camelot need to be demolished. Period. If there are some that we can save and we can get the funds to save them, I will absolutely do everything I can to save those buildings. But I have been in those units. And some of them are beyond repair. We need to demolish them and rebuild them. There comes a point in the life of every building where the cost to repair it is more than the cost to keep it. And that's going to be a tough problem, but I do not believe that we're going to be able to save every building in Camelot. If any building that can be saved, I will do everything that I can as mayor to see that it's saved if there are monies to save it. But I don't believe that we're going to be able to save every building, and anyone who tells you anything different is probably lying to you.
Well, that's what the grant money would be used for. So I appreciate the fact that you said, yeah, you would stand behind rebuilding the buildings that would need to be demolished and rebuilt. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that question. I would like to acknowledge Vida. You please unmute yourself and you have the floor. Thank you.
I believe that there was overlays for the old. I believe that was.
You're on mute.
She's not. She's very low. I hear you're asking about overlays. Now you're muted.
You can post your question in the chat. We cannot hear you.
How about now? Can you now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I had on. Okay. I wanted to ask with respect to I think it was called the overlay district for the Old National Highway area. And I think it had to do with what kind of businesses we were trying to attract to that area. Because I see a lot of blighted businesses on Old National Highway, as well as property managers who don't keep their property clean, who don't clean up the parking lots and make sure that the place is clean and safe. I was wondering if that overlay is still in place, or if not, if there's a plan to put something like that in place with respect to businesses on Old National Highway.
Yes. So I'm going to do a little political education here again. You can find this at khalidcares.com/economy. This is Old National's overlay district. We hadn't updated it until we updated it this year. We made very minor changes to the district. This I want to show you is the overlay district for Perimeter Center, Dunwoody, which is another area that is around the perimeter. In their overlay district, not only do they make plans for the streets, but they are very detailed in how Perimeter Center should look in terms of frontage, where trees will be, in terms of making sure that buildings are built towards the street. You can see this frontage option here, that buildings are built toward the street so that they are walkable. These are all changes that I asked for in the overlays for Old National Highway. Those overlays are part of our comprehensive plan. Those changes were not included. As mayor, one of the first things that I will do is call for a revision and update of our comprehensive plan, which we can do at any time after we approve it. It looks like it's headed towards approval in the next few days, actually. But I want to revisit those overlays. Now, the overlays and the maintaining the cleaning of the area, those are actually two separate issues. In addition to bringing over, so I'm going to say another controversial thing. In addition to bringing over the same head of government from Fulton County, we brought over our county commissioner to be our mayor. We brought over basically all of the employees from Fulton County. So all of the people that did not give us the results that we wanted, we brought them all over to the city of South Fulton. I think that we need to relook at that. Just today, Miss Jill Lindsay is on. She's one of our super citizens. She sent an email a month ago asking about trash cans in front of
30 seconds remaining.
Trash cans in front of Kroger. Turned out nobody could figure out who the trash cans were. Marta was like, it's not our trash cans. They moved their bus stop so they wouldn't have to take responsibility for them. Kroger were like, they're not our trash cans. The city were like, they're not our trash cans. So the city official was like, well, we'll just remove the trash cans. That doesn't solve the issue. Where will people put their trash? They'll put it on the streets. So we need to have people in office, not just a mayor and council, but we need to have staff people that are proactive and solution focused. I think that currently we have too many people in our city that can tell you everything that we can't do and why we can't do it, and not enough people that are focused on what we can do and finding ways to do what it is that our citizens ask. And so that is one of the things that is going to be at the top of my agenda, not just for Trashing on National, but for a lot of our city services and departments.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge Shana Colbert Bradford. You have the floor. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Good evening. How are you?
How are you?
Great. My question is about affordable housing. What is affordable housing? And when will we be able to have that in South Fulton? How can we have a plan for affordable housing in South Fulton?
So I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this slide again. We actually do have affordable housing in South Fulton. Affordable housing is really just housing that people can afford, right? Whatever our median area income is, and I will show you. I think I have a slide here somewhere. I'm not going to find it now. Our median area income is actually a little bit higher than the city of Atlanta's. And as I said, our home ownership rates are higher than the city of Atlanta's. But, and as you can see here in this particular slide, our monthly costs for both rent and for mortgages are lower. So we have housing that is affordable. I think that we need to be intentional about making sure that we keep housing affordable. The greatest predictor of crime is actually the amount of income inequality that is in a community. And so we need to be looking at mixed income communities. Too often we have communities where houses are $600,000 and up, and they and their schools are segregated. And so we're creating ghettos and pockets of poverty where all of the houses that are less than that, or houses that are under $100,000, are in one area. One of the things that I want to see us do is create more mixed income communities. But I do believe that our housing is affordable. We just now need to have a plan where we integrate it so that children of warehouse workers and retail workers and airport servers are in community with children of doctors and lawyers and engineers, so that they can see all of the options that are available to them.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge Shadrick Bowens Pitcham. You have the floor. Thank you.
Hi, Councilman. Thanks for this opportunity again. What are some progressive things that you plan on doing in the city that will make South Fulton more attractive to people outside of the city wanting to move in?
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for this question. Um, we've done a lot of very progressive things in the city. We may actually be the most progressive city in the South, right? One of my first moves as councilperson was to create an election day holiday. That is something that the federal government is now talking about. We made Juneteenth a holiday before President Biden and the federal government made it a holiday. We raised our wages for city workers to $15 an hour. Councilmen like Mark Baker have put forth resolutions to eliminate Columbus Day in favor of Indigenous Peoples Day. That's what we'll be celebrating on Monday before early voting starts. And they're just a host of other things that we have been doing. We don't hear about them a lot because why can't we say these things? If the mayor doesn't propose them, they don't get promoted in the media. And we as council people work our own channels, right, to try and get them promoted. There is a misconception that it's really just part of a crabs in a bucket mentality, right? That if I get a shine or positive attention in the media, then I am somehow competing with you. But really, our entire city wins, no matter who is putting forth these resolutions. Many of these resolutions were initially vetoed by our mayor. I think that if we did a better job, when Sandusky, Ohio made Election Day a holiday, it was covered by the New York Times. They did it 2 years after I originally wrote the bill that was vetoed, and then a year after we actually got it passed by council. So a lot of these things, they sound maybe superficial, but these are the kinds of things that get attention for our city and put our city on the map. One of the reasons that I talk about our city being the blackest city in America is because for the past 20 years, we've been trying to issue tax breaks and trying to entice people with all of these traditional ways of bringing businesses to our communities. Our top 3 employers in the city, after all of these good things are happening in South Fulton and all of these marketing and promotion campaigns that we've had under the county and under the city, our top 3 employers are, in this order, I believe, Walmart, a Bank of America call center off of Flat Shoals Road, and World Changers Church. Those are our 3 largest employers. So when I talk about us being the blackest city in America, I want us to reach out not only to minority-owned businesses and to become
30 seconds remaining.
in the same way that Silicon Valley has become an incubator for tech startups. We can do that with black tech companies. But I also want to say to all of these companies like Nike and all of these other companies that market to minorities, and particularly to African American community, you have a 92% African American community, one exit from the world's busiest airport. If you are marketing to black communities your products, there is no better place to test them out and then get the successful products to market than a 92% African American city, one exit from the world's busiest airport. And so that is my strategy to get people excited and get people coming to the city of South Fulton.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge Melissa Patterson. You have the floor. Please unmute yourself.
Good evening. Thank you. I have a 2-part question. I want to revisit the builders building in subdivision, single home subdivisions. Would you push for zoning to prevent that from happening moving forward? And then the other part, you mentioned sweepers in the, you would rather purchase a sweeper instead of the vehicle that they purchased for the police. how would you, with the sweeper, combat the issue that we have in South Fulton of trash? I think the perception when you come into our area off of exit 66 through Union City, you're stopping at the light with trash, and it goes all up and down Flat Shoals, and it's all up and down Old National. It's depressing, to be quite honest. And so those two things, the trash, how would you combat that? And how would you input the sweeper to, fix the problem? And then second, the zoning, would you push to zone to stop these I am in a new development, and just within the last 2 years, we've had 32 homes built for rental, and we've had more issues in our area since that has happened. So those are the two biggest things for me, and I'm wondering how you would address those things.
Okay, so I'll start with the latter first, and let you know that actually last 2 nights ago in our council meeting, we just passed an ordinance to ban those sorts of rental subdivisions. So we can't retroactively apply any law. That's Article 1 of the state constitution of Georgia. But going forward, we have passed an ordinance that actually bans rental subdivisions. So you will be happy to know that. The second issue about the street sweepers. How many of you know that the city of South Fulton doesn't actually have a public works department? We have about 3 to 5 public works employees, but we outsource our public works department. So we brought over everybody else from Fulton County, all of the department heads, all of these 6-figure salary earners. When we got to our public works department, which was they were the lowest paid people in our city. They were the last people to come over. Instead of bringing them over, we voted to outsource to this private company now known as Jacobs. I fought that. As mayor, I want to commission a study to see whether or not that was a good idea. We are currently paying over $12 million to a private company a year to provide public works services. I'm not sure that we are getting the best bang for our buck doing it that way. And if we are, it may just be that we need to spend more on our public works budget. One of the reasons that I called to create the Downtown Development Authority for Old National, as well as the Citywide Development Authority. So I brought the idea of development authorities. One thing that I do a lot is I go to all of these different conferences. I'll be going to one next week, trying to see what the best practices are and what innovative new ideas are happening in cities across America, right? And development authorities can help create business districts that are self-taxing, particularly a downtown development authority. And those, if you go to a place like Buckhead or Midtown, in addition to what Atlanta spends on its public works
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. And its street sweepers, these Midtown business associations and these Buckhead coalitions, they put additional money on top of that for cleaning on top of that regular cleaning. So I want you to know that we do not litter more than anyone else in any other community. We just spend less money on cleaning up. And that is, we need to put more money towards our public works department and hire some full-time public works staff, workers, not department heads and managers, but actual people who will get out on the street and do that work.
Thank you. I would like to pass it to my colleague, Ron.
Thank you, Rashard. Councilman, this question comes from Nikki Conyers-Williams. She asked, can you please speak a bit more about your vision and plan for creating our city's identity/brand, and how long you think it will take to see that vision realized?
Yes. There's so many things. So, it's like, I want to do this immediately. I want to do this immediately. But one of the things that I really want to do is go back to rethinking about our city's name and picking a name and picking a brand that is in alignment with the heritage of this 92% African American city. I'm going to show you. This is our current city seal. The way we ended up with this seal is when we were all sworn in on May 1st. It was actually April 29th. I think it was like a Sunday. When we were sworn into office in 2017, we needed a seal for the program. One of the mayor's friends drew us this seal, and then without any vote, it became the official city seal of the city of South Fulton. We thought, Councilman Baker and I thought it didn't represent the heritage of this 92% African American city. So we added a couple of things to the seal. We added some aunts. We added this motto, Kushi Jakalia. We become a city for self-determination, right? And so we wanted to add these African elements to our city. A lot of us were inspired by the movie Black Panther and realized that we had a real life Wakanda here in the city of South Fulton. Now, some people will say, oh, you talk about this so much, it's going to offend people, it's going to scare away people. So I have a couple of responses to that. This is the official city seal of Duluth. This is actually the new city seal. This isn't what Duluth city seal looked like until I think like 2009. In the city seal are tufts of cotton. Now, they have a history of being like a trading depot, but for some people, this is offensive. No one on that city council, which is all white at the time, there was no conversation about that, right? They did it. It was part of their history. It's what they did. I believe that we can do the same thing. And then I want to talk about next month will be Gay Pride Month here in Atlanta. There is a pride parade. If none of you have ever been, I encourage you to go. It's a lot of fun. But the city of Atlanta shuts down Peachtree Street, their main artery, for the entire day so that the LGBT community, which is only a fraction of the city of Atlanta, can celebrate being a part of that community. They have sections. There are like 20 sections, A, B, C, D. It goes, down the alphabet. Every Fortune 500 company in America that is in the city of Atlanta pays tens of thousands of dollars to be in that A and B section at the front of the parade. Delta, Coca-Cola, Home Depot, right? So there's no reason where they go marching is to Peachtree Street. At the corner of 10th and Piedmont, and this isn't just for Pride, you can go there now and see this, there is a rainbow-colored crosswalk. So if every other community can celebrate who they are and be proud of who they are, why is there always a problem when African Americans decide we want to be proud of who we are? This is the city of Sewanee's City Hall. They also had a history of a rail depot, and this is supposed to acknowledge their history as a rail depot. And so that some of the steel that is in this building is like reclaimed railroad tracks. But they made a decision to have a modern city hall that doesn't look like your traditional city hall. I actually, for those of you all who grew up in the 80s like me, I think it looks like the Super Friends, like the Justice League building. I have said, if they can do that, why could we not have a city hall that is a pyramid that becomes a tourist destination, right, in the center of our city? So these are the kinds of ideas that I have of rebranding. Instead of running from the fact that we are the blackest city in America, I think that we need to lean into it. Anytime you are
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. Anytime you are the first of something or the most of something, you have a unique opportunity to position yourself. Many people on this Zoom and in our city came to Atlanta for a Freaknik or a July 4th barbecue or for college, and they saw all of these successful African Americans. For years, Atlanta was at the top of every Black enterprise and ebony list of the best place for African Americans to live, to raise a family, to do business. Obviously, a city that's no longer even majority African American, many of what we associate with the Black Mecca, from Candy from the Real Housewives that I went to high school with to the Honorable John Lewis, rest in peace. Those people actually live in the city of South Fulton. We need to be taking up that mantle and rebranding ourselves to be the most exciting place for Africans in America, in the world, to be.
Thank you, sir. The next question comes from Black Mother. Her name is Malika. She says, greetings. Do you have anything on your agenda involving programs for our youth like a YMCA? If it isn't, any funding the corporations that want to build here should fund it?
Yes, anyone who knows me knows that investing in our young people, it is one of my three pillars in my platform. Is the most. I just think it's the greatest return on investment that we could ever realize. And so there have been some talks with YMCA's and with Boys and Girls Clubs. When we get to a certain population, we become entitled to more funding for things like that. And I believe that market's 250,000. So we are a bit away from that. But in terms of working with corporate partners, one of the important reasons to invest in businesses and entrepreneurs and growing local businesses versus giving tax breaks trying to attract people, right? And I want you to consider this. Those of you who are familiar with Old National and are familiar with Camp Creek know that nearly every store that is on Camp Creek used to be on Old National. The Target, the Red Lobster, the Longhorns, right? All of those things used to be on Old National. They moved to Camp Creek for tax breaks. They got 20 years of basically low to no taxes, and those are up. And so you'll probably see them start moving again. One of the reasons that it's important to invest in local businesses and grow our entrepreneurs is because studies have shown over and over again that local businesses are better corporate citizens. They don't tend to move, right? Even though Amazon has built a Q2 headquarters, they have kept their headquarters in Seattle. Apple has kept its headquarters in Cupertino, California, and they give generously to the school systems there and to the government there. And so we need
30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. We need to be thinking about how to create our Apple, our Google, and, our next big thing, because those are going to be the corporations that are going to be the best partners in building for our youth. And then even beyond that, once we have increased our revenue streams, is so important. I just got to keep saying it again. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And when we begin to increase our commercial revenue streams, then we will have more money for all of these nonprofit programs.
Thank you, sir. The next question comes from Alicia Rivera. Is there a plan for social services and nonprofits to collectively work with the city, a coalition of sorts, to help residents in need to progress?
So again, we do have this South Fulton Human Services Coalition, and I think that we could do a better job coordinating with them, and perhaps even put that on the agenda. But again, we have a very tight budget until I'm not going to lie to you, until we can increase this budget, there is very little assistance that we can give. We're still trying to get all our streets paved and get sidewalks, in places. So we've got to do that part first. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. This next question is, will you prioritize naming the city?
Yes. So once again, and I'm going to share my screen again. If you go to South Fulton 101 at KhalidCares.com, that is this page. You will see a lot of this information that I've been talking about with the city. But one of the things that I talk about one of the things that is mentioned here is renaming our city. So we did actually vote to rename our city, and Every member of council voted for the name Renaissance. over 2 rounds of voting. I know a lot of people don't like that name. I do not intend to bring that name back. I think we need a name that is more in line with our African heritage. But yes, I will be moving to rename the city. And um, one of the things that we will have to call on is for our state reps to allow the elected officials to pick that name and the citizens to pick that name. We've had a lot of interference from our state representatives. I think that if they want to run the city, then they need to put their names on the ballot and just run for city council. But that name change is a charter change that we would have to make. It can be city initiated, and I will be looking to do that as soon as possible in 2022.
Thank you, sir. And there's one more question, and I'll turn it back over to Richard, but I do need to let you know, and we'll send you a copy of the chat because there's a lot of positive comments for you in there. Even one person said they vote for you. A lot of impressive, awesome, let's do it type comments. So I thought you'd want to know that. The next question is, if you become mayor, would you select a new chief of police?
So first, I actually cannot select a chief of police. And I want to be clear. I want to take a moment to do a little political education. In Atlanta, the mayor can select all of the department heads in the city. In our city council, the mayor can appoint, subject to the approval of council, 4 positions. Our judge, currently 4 positions. Our judge, our chief financial officer, our city manager, and our city clerk. Our city manager picks our police chief. So I don't have the power to do that. I will tell you that we just passed in the Tuesday meeting a study. There is a group called the Center for Policing Equity. They have been working with over 40 cities around the country for several years now, and they've been able to reduce use of force complaints from citizens, as well as officer-related injuries, on-the-job injuries from officers. So I do want to look at re-examining our entire police department and how it's set up. Right now, the police are the only people that are on call 24 hours a day. If there's domestic violence, if there is truancy happening, all of these social problems, they are the only people who are required to answer the phone and show up. I do believe that we need to have a separate office of public safety that deals with those social issues and allow our police just to respond to crime. I believe that we need to work more on solving crimes than buying equipment and buying buildings. I'm not sure that the chief and I will see eye to eye on that. So once the people make their decision, then we'll have to look at that. I don't have any intentions of replacing the police chief, but I do have every intention of reimagining how we do policing here.
Thank you, sir. Back to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to check to make sure you're still okay to stay on. We have a couple more questions that have came up.
Yes, if we could stop at 8:30, there are going to be many, many more forums. As always, people can text Fulton to 33777. We're going to be continuing this conversation. There is another forum Monday the 11th, October the 11th, October the 14th, and I think a few more forums as well.
All right. There's a question that was sent to me in the chat. Are there ways to remove our subdivisions out of the city of South Fulton? None of us voted to be part of this city. The map looks gerrymandered. What do you have to say for that?
I'm going to tell you the truth. You can opt to annex your house into the next city if you live on the city line. So let's say I don't know. Let's say your house is here and someone else's house is here and the Union City line is here. You cannot annex into Union City or whatever the next. We'll use another city. I don't know. There are a lot of people who are upset with Union City now. Atlanta, right? You cannot annex into Atlanta until this house annexes into Atlanta, and then if they annex into Atlanta, you can annex into Atlanta. So that is an option, and I believe that everyone has the right to be wherever it is that they choose to be. I will tell you that the city of South Fulton has much lower taxes than Atlanta. We have lower crime than Atlanta. Our school system outperforms Atlanta's school system. Right now, it's actually one of the reasons that the cityhood movement restarted again was because after the in 2015 in 2014, 2015, some city Atlanta officials began to like annex in places like Guilford Forest and Loch Lomond because they had gentrified Atlanta so much. They had allowed Atlanta to become so gentrified. They realized that they needed black voters to stay in office. So they started annexing in all of these Southwest neighborhoods. And a lot of concerned citizens in the Cascades who did not want to go into Atlanta public schools, which had just been through this huge cheating scandal, fought to create this city, right, so that they could stay in Fulton County schools. But it is absolutely an option. However, I believe that as mayor, we will create a city that you will want to be a part of. So I would ask you, if it's something that you're thinking about, hold off for one more year. If it's not something, if you're still not impressed by what we're doing and you are able to annex, I will sign the paperwork and not fight to keep anyone in the city that doesn't want to be here.
All right. Thank you for that. I would like to pass our last question to Shadrick Bowens. Pitcham, you have the floor.
Thanks again. I keep asking questions because I've only been in the city for 8 months. I'm originally from Detroit, and in Detroit, there's a lot of city services that are offered. And I know that Detroit was originally built for like 2 million people. But so far, I've spent $400 on like bulk trash, like, just getting rid of things like junk in my house, boxes when we moved in, things like that. $240 a year on like trash pickup. And then we have to pay extra for recycling. And that basically adds up to like $790 per month on just trash. I mean, not month, per year on just trash. I think it would make more sense to roll some of that money into the city in taxes. And I'm not saying that taxes should be raised, but people get scared of that. But if the city could somehow take over the trash pickup and pick up things a lot more regularly, like I can't figure out where to put grass clippings. I can't figure out where to put leaves. If I cut down, trees, where does all of this stuff go? And does the city have any like plans to expand, helping out the citizens with those kind of things?
Awesome. Thank you for the question. So I'm going to direct you back here to the South Fulton 101 page. I probably need to update it with a couple of new pieces of information. But in 2019, we were looking at creating a citywide trash service. Everyone would have the same trash service. Everyone would have the same bill. On the verge of the vote, at the actual meeting where we were supposed to pick a citywide sanitation contract, the mayor made a speech and shut down the meeting. And so we didn't pick it. And so we have a patchwork of different people offering different city services, different trash services. And the rate that you get is different depending on what you know to ask for. You can read about this history of our trash service at khalidcares.com/101. And the first thing I want to let you know is that everyone should be getting recycling. We have required every city vendor to offer recycling, and we've required every city vendor to offer a specific City of South Fulton rate. So you should make sure, you should call your private vendor and ask them, tell them I am a City of South Fulton resident. I want the City of South Fulton rate, which currently includes recycling. Previously, as a county, when we were with the county and we had a larger budget, we actually did have bulk trash collection at our door. Right now, we have these bulk trash collection days. You have to bring your bulk trash either to Creel Park or to Merck Miles. If you are a senior, you can schedule to have your trash picked up on those bulk trash collection days. You can text the word Fulton to 33777 to receive a mobile alert on when those bulk trash days are coming, and it will also be covered in my newsletter. But yes, as mayor, I would like for us to re-look at having a citywide trash collection that includes both recycling and bulk trash.
Thank you for that response. And I would like to offer you the time to make your closing remarks. And if you can leave your contact information in the chat so everyone can contact you if they have any additional questions.
Okay, so again, I will, if you are watching this on your computer and you have your smartphone, you can just scan this QR code here in the top right of my screen. It will bring up my website and all of my social media information. You can follow me no matter what generation you are. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And I actually post city information on all of those. You can also, please, right now, text the word Fulton 777. I will text you back a few questions. I will get you signed up for for my citywide newsletter. And at every newsletter at the bottom, my contact information is there. It comes from my email, so you can simply reply back. We have these very long emails. It's like khalid.kamal@cityofsouthfultonga.gov. But if you can just remember khalid@khalidcares.com, that is the best way to reach me. You can reach me through social media. And again, when you sign up for the newsletter, you can just reply back to that newsletter with any questions or comments or concerns that you have. Again, my name is Khalid, and I want us to build better, invest more, particularly in our minority businesses and our young people, and to improve our image, to improve not only the council's relations with one another, but to improve our communication with you as residents, and to rebrand ourselves as the most exciting, most progressive city in the South, and most affordable, a place that everyone wants to be. Again, I thank you all for your time. If you have enjoyed this, please tell a friend. I will have this video in the next newsletter. I'm sure that the South Fulton Coalition will have this video. Please share it widely. Let everyone know. Election Day is November 2nd, but early voting starts October 12th. If you have requested a vote by mail ballot and have not received it, you should know that they are not being mailed out until early voting begins October 12th. So nothing funny is happening. The week of October 12th, you'll start receiving those ballots in the mail. You can find out where to vote early and where to drop off those ballots at khalidcares.com/vote, or just simply by joining for these mobile alerts and following in these newsletters. Thank you all so much for taking this time. South Fulton forever.
Thank you so much. This concludes our meeting for tonight. We will have 3 town halls next week. On October 5th, we will be featuring the District 6 candidates for City Council. On October the 6th, we will be having candidate Jewel Johnson, and on October 7th, we will be having the current mayor, Bill Edwards. Thank you for your time, and please visit the SouthFultonCoalition.com website and you can get the links to all of these meetings. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night.